Let's get going. Business credit, guys. Let me talk to you guys about how it applies to everything that we do, though. Let me grab a book real quick because I want to explain this to you guys as we actually do this because I want to show you guys the working pieces of building business credit. Okay, I got these for all my companies. I got all these file folders for all my companies, and I'm going to show you guys as we roll through this. That way, you guys can actually see the actual working pieces. Good morning. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. Ours was great. I feel grateful to even be here this morning doing this for you guys. We got a few hundred people on here, and we'll have hundreds more that'll come in and come through this. So congratulations for coming in and investing in yourselves this morning. Look, guys, for those of you guys that don't know where this actually came from, when I got started in business in 1993, I got started in multi-level marketing, and I did horribly for 2 years, did extremely well. FTC shut us down. My credit score got plummeted to about a 460 credit score. I came out, started a new business, and when I started buying real estate, I didn't have the means to use my own personal credit because my credit was trashed. It was more work to fix my credit than it was to be able to go and just create new business lines of credit. But to my advantage, for those of you guys that have great credit that are looking at this right now saying, well, Jerome, I don't have that credit. Great. It's perfect for you guys because it's going to help you scale into whatever you do. And if you have a business, even if you don't have a business, but you're aspiring to have a business, every single property that you own is a business. And so it's its own individual business. And this will help you scale in magnitude. And the reason why is that if you have good credit, even better too, you can use a personal credit to leverage one property and your business line of credit when you first get started to leverage a second property. And over the course of time, it's going to help you scale and build because you'll be able to ante up twice and sometimes 3 times, sometimes 4 times, sometimes 5 times. And so depending on what you're doing, like for example, we've been in business now since the 90s. And Ramez and I, who were doing our Kirtland Cottage product, when we were doing our Kirtland Cottage when we were doing our Kirtland Cottage development in Kirkland, Washington, when we first started that project, he was working remote in San Francisco, and I was working here in New Mexico, and we needed business lines of credit. And so immediately when we got our loan, our construction loan, immediately we opened up business lines of credit with our bank. Bank of America gave us some lines of credit. And then Western State Bank in Washington gave us some more lines of credit. And we were able to facilitate from abroad our business and able to get our superintendents, our general contractors, and everybody else taken care of. So we were able to facilitate a $21 million project by simply facilitating business lines of credit. And we were able to do it quick, guys, quick. Now, let me share with you guys the process today, and let me explain to you guys why that is so important. Okay. Now, when you guys get started and you guys are looking at this, for those of you guys that don't know the business model, I'm going to run through this really fast because I really want to focus on the business model of building business credit. When you come in, guys, you can go in and build one single family home, buy a house, you buy a piece of land, you build a house. And when you build that house, a lot of times I tell you guys, just go get a construction loan. When you go in and get a construction loan, you go through the process of permitting. You go through architecture, you go through the survey company to get your survey, the architecture, and you go through a civil engineer to get your grading and drainage plan, maybe a structural engineer to certify your shear walls. Those things right there will get you a set of residential building plans. When you do that, you can go to the bank with these building plans and say, appraise this, guys. You go to the area, you confirm the area that you're building in holds the value of real estate that you want to build in. And so I always tell people, don't look for land anywhere. Go and affirm a business model where homes are already selling for what you need. 500,000, 700,000, 800,000. Don't get over $1.2 million, guys. Don't get under $500,000. All right. You guys know the business model. The business model is we service the upper middle class, not the ultra wealthy, because that's only 2% of our population. And we don't service the average median home buyer because the average median home buyer, those people, they're being serviced by DR Horton, Pulte, these guys. They're going after small margins, guys, and lots of volume. You don't want to be in that game. So we service the upper middle class that constitutes for 24% of our population. And this process right here gets you construction money, okay, with construction loans because of the appraisal that they can get on this set of plans. Now, with that said, when you leverage business lines of credit, you can go in and you can get a second loan from your business line of credit. But the second, guys, that you buy a piece of land, you should be doing this in alignment, because what's going to happen is this first build right here, you're gonna make about $180,000, okay, about 180K if you follow our business model, between 100 to 180K. I'm not going to run through that today. That was for a whole other training. We'll hit that on a different training on where that actually comes from and how we break that down for those of you guys that are new. For those of you guys that are watching on repeat, comment in there, hashtag repeat. This is my multiple Jerome Maldonado training. And that way I know who is actually facilitated and watch the training where we actually do it. Thank you, David. Appreciate you. Thank you, Andrew. So we got a lot of people in here that are. Now, so we come in here, guys, that's our profitability. Now, if you guys go through the process, let's say it takes you 3 months to understand, learn, train your brain, go get a lot, and it takes you 3 months, okay? Month number 3, you go out, you find a lot. Now, let's say that it takes us 60 days to get our architecture and engineering and stuff put together. That's going to be month number 3 and 4. So now month number 3 to 4, we're going through plans, okay? Now month number 4 and 5, 4 to 5, we're going through plan review. And then month number 5, we get our permits. That means month number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to do month number 6 through 11. We're building, okay? That means that for 60 days, if we go out, guys, and the reason I'm doing this is pay attention. This has to do with how you set up and facilitate your business lines of credit. And then we're going to run through the ins and outs of setting up a business line of credit. Now, month number 6 and 7, this is the month-by-month process, guys, what you should be doing. 3 months to find land, okay? Find land and learn. You're learning the process for this first 3 months, okay? You're going through the process right here. You're going through the process right there, okay? And then month number 4 and 5, you're going through plan review, okay? Then you're building for 6 months. Month number 11 through 12, your house is for sale. Month number 13, you cash in, you make your money. Okay, this is where you go in and make 150 grand or whatever it is on your bill. Okay. Okay, now when we go in and facilitate that, guys, right here, when you go in and you decide, I'm going to build houses, I'm going to invest in real estate, I'm going to go out and I'm going to start working this game so that I can make this a real business. This right here is where you go in right here and you get your business line of credit. Okay, now let's talk about this. Your first 3 months, you come in, and before you even start this process, guys, and I'm going to explain why, okay? Because look at this right here. Let's say that this house right here sold for $750K. When you go in after you've already facilitated business for the last 13 months, you're going to put on your tax returns when you go in and you facilitate business that you did a gross revenue of $750,000. You're in first year company, guys. You do business your first year and you have one house you sell and you put $750,000 as your gross revenue on your tax returns. How are you doing to the banks? What are the banks looking at? How are you doing, guys? Good or bad? Are you doing good or are you doing bad to the banks? Comment below, guys. I'm here for you guys. You're doing good, right? Now, most companies, guys, fail in their first year. So 95% of companies fail in their very first year, guys. Now, out of the 5% that make it, 98% of those companies don't turn a profit for 2 years. 2 years, guys. It's not till year number 3 that they're actually functioning in the black. They actually are in the red for 2 years, and it's their 3rd year they turn a profit. So you, as a brand new business, if you go turn a profit between $100,000 and $180,000 on your tax returns as your net taxable income your very first year, how do you look like? What do you look like to the bank? You look good or bad to the bank? You look like a friggin' rock star, guys. You look like a rock star to the bank because you're sitting back your very first year, you're cash flow positive. You're in less than 0.2% of all new businesses since the history of Adam and Eve building houses, guys. Since the history of Adam and Eve, you're in the top 0.2% of every single business in the world. Not just building, but you're a rock star. So let's talk about business credit and why this works. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to show you some cool shit today. Okay. Now, when we go in, guys, you have to select a business name. Okay. Let's go in. What states are you guys from? Give me a couple states that you guys are from today. What states you guys from? Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina. Okay, I got it. Okay, South Carolina, Texas. Okay, let's look at your guys' websites real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Let's screen share with you guys. Let's go into Google. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys, if we go into a state website, guys, we go into the state website. What was that? All this bullshit. Okay. Boom. Okay. Now, you're going to go in and select a business name. Why don't you guys give me a business name real quick that you guys want? Just some random business name, guys. Give me a random business name right now in the chat. Give me a random business name, guys. I Build USA, Riverstone, T. Brown Enterprises. I like that. Okay. Driven Homes. Okay, cool. Let's look at this, guys. Let's look for this now. Okay, I'm going to close this out. Let's go over here and let's go. Okay, Virginia was first. Let's look at Virginia. Okay, state of Virginia. State, Virginia. State of Virginia. Look at entity search. It even pops up right there. Entity search. Boom. Okay. So we're going to check if the business name is even available. Okay. This is in the state of Virginia, guys. You guys gave me the states. I'm going to give you guys, you go to any state and do this. Any state. And you could do this on your own. You don't even have to hire an attorney to do this if you guys don't want to. Now, starts with, okay. Let's go entity name. Let's go T. Brown Enterprises. T. Brown Enterprises LLC. Okay, let's see. Put my name in here. I'll just put mine just for sake of, and I'm going to do as an entity. We're going to do it registered agent. Let's do it as an entity. Okay, so let's do it as JJM Enterprises. Okay. Okay. Registered agent. Let's just do it as my name. Oops. I think it's self-populating because I own warehouses in Virginia. Okay, let's do a search real quick. Oops. Entity name. T. Brown. Okay, let's search. No records found. Okay, with this criteria, no records found. Okay, so we can go in. T. Brown, you can facilitate business in the state of Virginia, right? Now, look, guys, you can go into any state. We can go to the state of Texas. We can go back over here. We can go to Arizona State Corporation Commission. We can go to Arizona. We can go to any of them. And when we go in here for business services, we go in and say 10 steps to start a business. Boom. You go in here. You choose a name. Okay. Purchase a domain. You don't have to do all that, but you can just choose a name. Okay. Now, the reason that I go through this, guys, is because I want you guys to understand that when we go in here, we choose a name, that you can just go in here to the State Corporation Commission. I would set things up under an LLC. Okay. Now, the reason that I set things up under an LLC is because of a few different reasons. Okay. One, if you do it as a sole proprietor, okay. So if you go in and you set it up as a sole proprietorship, what happens, guys, is you are personally liable for that business as a sole proprietor. Don't set it up as a sole proprietor. If you guys go in and you set it up as either an S Corp or C Corporation, here's the problem with S Corp and C Corps. Now, if you're going to be facilitating builds and builds only, and you're going to be moving and revolving real estate, it's okay to get a C Corp or an S Corp. Because if you get a C Corp or an S Corp, you're going to just be facilitating active income through that. So this is all active income. This 180,000, 100 to $180,000 profit, that's active income. Now, if you have long-term holdings, like you land up resumeing up to multifamily, if you land up resumeing up to multifamily and you have long-term holdings in a corporation, if you take ownership of that long-term holding in a corporation, if you ever land up wanting to quit claim it out of that corporation, transfer it to another entity for asset protection, or if you want to move it for whatever other given reason that you want to, you have to incur the current market value of that asset if you ever take it out of that corporation. So it's the only reason that I don't like corporations, because I don't want to assume current market value if I'm moving it from one of my entities to another entity and I'm not truly selling it to off in the open market. So because corporations fully facilitate a separate corporate entity structure, C Corps and S Corps do not qualify for quit claiming real estate from one entity to another entity without having the tax liability. So I always tell people, if you're moving real estate, like for example, I'll have a holding company, guys. I'll have a holding company. And in my holding company, I'll always have I'll have a ton of land in there. And then when I'm ready to build on that land, I'll move the land from the holding company to my construction company. And I just quit claim it over. So that way I de-risk the holding company. So I don't want to be building where I have a bunch of land that I'm holding, because if we ever get into a lawsuit or something happens, you can lose that land as part of that lawsuit. So to de-risk it, I move that land out of it and I move it into the entity that holds the liability for the construction of that asset. And so I want to be able to move it out. LLCs, you can do that. It's a pass-through entity. You can move real estate without incurring tax liability. So I love it. Partnerships, same thing. Okay. So you could go in limited partnerships, and LLCs. You guys can move that stuff. Wills, trusts, you can go in and you can have a layer of protection with wills and trusts. Now, I'm not going to go over corporate structuring in its entirety today. I just want to explain to you guys that when you guys go in and create business lines of credit, these simple little things and the reasons behind why you pick what you pick when you go in and you start facilitating business. Okay. Now, when we go in, guys, I'm going to get rid of this right here. Let's go back in. We're going to get a corporate name. Okay. We search our corporate entity through our state. Now, I will tell you guys, the best states for bankruptcy law is Delaware and Wyoming. Those two states, Delaware and Wyoming. Okay. Now, there's tax benefits to doing business in Nevada and Florida. So those are the four best states to register your business in. For bankruptcy law, Delaware and Wyoming are the two best states for bankruptcy law to be able to do business. Now, if you set up your business in Delaware or Wyoming, it's great. Go ahead and set them up there for bankruptcy purposes, but you'll still have to register your business to do business within your own state. Okay. Now your corporate structure is going to hold in Delaware. So when you go in, you're going to hire a will and trust attorney to put some operation agreements together. Okay. These are the operating agreements right here. Okay. The operating agreements are standard forms. Don't worry about getting too technical with your operating agreements, guys. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second here, and then I'll go back in and screen share here in a little bit, because I want to show you guys where to go next. Okay, so let's stop sharing. The heck? Okay, stop share. Okay, so we go in, guys, and we're looking at these. Here's our operating agreement. The purpose of the operating agreement is you're going to need this. This is where it'll cost you about $700 to $800 to get an operating agreement put together. These could be very general, guys. They could be standard operating agreements. what you're looking for at the end of these operating agreements is you're looking at who is responsible for signing on behalf of the company. See, when you look at the acceptance of the company, you'll see that I sign on behalf of the company. I sign on behalf of the company. Now, this was some beauty salons that we own. This was our beauty salons back in the day. So I'm using this one because this company's this company has gone bye since then. We used to own beauty salons in the 2008 recession to fill in our buildings, and my wife ran those businesses, so she was able to sign on the accounts. Right, my wife and I both. So we were able to go in. You tell the company who is responsible for signing on behalf of this business. Okay, it's its own separate entity. You have all the bylaws and stuff in here for the whole power of attorney, bylaws. An attorney will put this together for you guys for between $700 and $800, guys. And you could even download these. You can have AI write it for you right now. You can just say, write me a standard operating agreement for, watch this shit. Let's try it real quick. Watch. I love AI, guys. AI is badass. Check this out, guys. And for all intended purposes, to get your business lines of credit going, you can just do this shit on AI. Watch, check this out. If you just pull up ChatGPT and you go just ask AI on here, and you need to pull up, you just put, check this out, guys. This is how easy business is today. Okay, is you go in and say, write me a 20-page operating agreement for a new LLC in the state of Virginia. Check this out. Look at ChatGPT just going at it. It's writing you an operating agreement, guys, for the state of Virginia, for whatever state you're in. And it's just going in and it's writing you an operating agreement. Okay, you're going to need this for the bank, guys. But this is how inexpensive. You could do a lot of this stuff on your own. And if you want an attorney to check it, it's even less expensive. So you can go in, it says the members' names right there and everything right here on ChatGPT, guys. Right here, just using AI. And you just keep going. And I said, make it and so you go in and it has all the stuff for the state compliance for the state of Virginia, everything right there. Okay. So, anyways, you can go in, you can write your own operating agreement right there. Now, one of the things that we do when we're doing stuff on AI is that, like our insurance agent the other day said, hey, Jerome, we need a new subcontractor agreement, but your subcontractor agreement doesn't have a few different clauses that it needed. I got on AI and said, write me a subcontractor agreement that includes a clause regarding an arbitration, a clause regarding, and there was a few different clauses that the insurance company asked me for. I got on AI, it wrote it. I copied it, I pasted it into our subcontractor agreements, and then I sent it over to the insurance company, stamped, approved, boom, lower insurance rates right here off of AI, guys. Okay, so then you take this and you put your standard operating agreement together for the state of Virginia, whatever state you're in. You bind it, you put it together, and now you're going to go to the irs.gov website. Let's go to the irs.gov website. I'm going to share this with you guys again. Now, this is all important, guys. This is how you build business lines of credit, and this is how fast it takes, guys. You go into the state regulation commission. You get your articles of organization. They're going to look something like this. These ones are through the state of New Mexico because I live in New Mexico. But you go in, and this is what it looks like. Okay. So when you guys go in, you look at this, it's going to give you a little number right there. That number is your state organization number for your corporation. Okay. No matter what state you're in, it'll give you what's called a state corporation commission number. That number is important. You're going to need that when you go to the bank. Okay. And you're going to need these articles, okay, of organization when you register your business with your state. This will get printed out right after you go through the process that I showed you first. Then you're going to get your operating agreements, which is what I showed you second. You can have AI write that for you, or you can have an attorney write it for you, make it a little bit more formal. And now you need a third document, okay? So one, you go to the state and you get your name, okay? And you register it. Number two, you're going to go in and you're going to get your number two, you get your articles of organization. Okay. Now I know this shit's boring, guys, but this stuff will get you money. Okay, so those of you guys say, I don't have no money, my credit's bad. Listen, I'm showing you guys how to get it. Okay, I'm showing you guys how to get it. Now, let me share my screen with you guys again. Okay, let's go to irs.gov. Okay, go to irs.gov, enter. Let's go to the Internal Revenue website. Okay, now when you go to the irs.gov website, guys, you can do all this on your own. So far, if you want to use AI, it hasn't even cost you a penny yet. Now we go in and we apply for our EIN number, our employer identification number. Okay, now when we go in and apply for our employer identification number, it's going to say, when we go in here, guys, business entity type. Okay. So we're going to go in here. And here's what I was talking about. Don't do sole proprietor. If you're not a partnership, don't worry about partnerships. Don't do a corporation. Don't do an S Corp. Do an LLC. Okay. So when you go in here, hit LLC. Okay. For real estate, LLCs are the best because you can move and quick claim your entities. Okay. Now, when we go in here, we just simply go in and do employer identification number. Boom. And we'll just apply. Okay, so we go in here, you'll say apply online. We'll just apply online. Apply for an EIN number. You just click on that. Our online assistance is currently unavailable. It's the weekend. Okay. Even websites need a break. Okay, it's down right now. But this is where you guys go. Okay, for all intended purposes, it's down right now, but you'll go for apply for EIN number. The things that you'll need is you're going to need that you're going to need to know, they need to know that your entity is registered, right? So that's why this is first. Then you just go in, you put in your personal information. If you're having the entity registered under another company, you have that company information. And then you're going to get what's called your EIN registration form. Okay. Now, what that looks like, once you get it, it looks like this, guys. And you can literally, it takes 10 minutes to go through this application. And when you go through the application, let's stop sharing real quick. And this is what the form actually looks like. Okay. You could print this out on your own computer at home. Okay. Let me see, this thing looks jacked up. And so you can go in and you can actually print this on your own computer at home. Okay. And you can get your own your IRS employer identification numbers. How many EINs can you have? You can have as many as you want. You just have to register them with the IRS. I have cabinets full of them for different entities. You can create business lines of credit for multiple entities, guys. We have it for Alliance, one of our companies, J. Jacob Enterprise. We have business lines of credit for every large company that we actually have. Okay. And so you'll file this because you're going to need this for the bank. Now, once you have those three things and you file those three things, it'll literally take you about an hour to do all three of those things. And now the first one with the state, sometimes it takes a couple days to get approved. Okay. Now, once you do that, though, everything else takes about 15 to 30 minutes. Within an hour, you can go back down to the bank. Okay. Because number 3 is get an employer identification number. It's an EIN number. This is where you go to irs.gov. irs.gov to apply. Okay. Now, when we go in and we do that, ladies and gentlemen, now we can go to the bank. Number 4 is we go to the bank and create a bank account. Okay. And we get a checking account. Okay. So we're going to go down to the bank. We're going to get a checking account. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the bank with a file folder that looks like this, or you can go with them all stapled together. Okay. I organize my stuff. I like my stuff organized. I have a lot of entities. So I go down to Office Depot, or I buy these online now, and I just buy a bunch of them. And I always keep a few of them in my file cabinets. And anytime I'm buying a new property, I just go in and I file everything really neat. And then I have little sub tabs in here that tell me what I have, right? I have my articles of organization. I have my operating agreement right there. I have my tax information right here, which is where I have my EIN number for my tax information right there. And then I have any assets that it owns. It says assets right there. So if I own real estate under it, it shows what assets I own and miscellaneous documents. Okay. So every single entity looks just like this, guys. And then I go to the bank. And when I get to the bank, I show them these three things. This is what I need to get a bank account. I need my state registration. I need my articles of organization to make sure that I'm the legitimate person to sign on that account. And I need an employer identification number because that is the living number for your corporation. You know, like when you're born, you get a living number. What is that living number called, guys, when you guys are born? What do you get when you're born in the United States? What is it called? Social Security number. Now, when you're born in the United States as a business, what do you get? You get a living number. What is that number called? It's an EIN number. Good job. CJ, was that CJ, Rick, that got that first one?
I believe so. Let's see here. Oh,
Go
no,
back in and see.
no, it wasn't. It was Rocio. Oh, no, no, no,
Give
excuse
Rocio
me.
a t-shirt,
No,
man.
no, no,
Rocio, what t-shirt do you
Maggie.
want?
It's actually I'm wrong. It's Maggie. So Maggie,
It's
we
an
need to get
EIN.
you taken care of.
Maggie, tell Rick what size shirt you wear. You can either get one that says Rhino Style Real Estate with a big giant rhino on it, one that says Investor across it, or one that says Resume Up. Just tell Rick what size you wear, and we'll send you out a T-shirt. Good job. Okay, so your living number for yourself is your Social Security number. The living number for your business is your employer identification number. That's the number where you're going to start building business credit on, ladies and gentlemen. That is like your Social Security number for your business. So for those of you guys that sit back going, yeah, but my credit's shot. Great. Go create a living number for your business and let's get to work. Okay. At a time when I had jacked up credit, I remember living in El Paso, Texas. I had an office out in El Paso, and there was this place called Fox Toyota. And when I first went down to Fox Toyota to go buy a truck, I went down and I jacked up the application. Didn't know how to do the application, guys. And so I put part of my social security number, part of the EIN number, was kind of buying it halfway through my personal side and halfway through my business because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And they denied me for credit. And then I said, okay, I asked them, so why did you guys deny me? And they said, well, because of this X, Y, and Z. And I had too much of my personal information on there. So then I went down to the Nissan dealership down in southern El Paso. And when I went to the Nissan dealership, I used only my business information. Okay. And when I did that, I used my employer identification number. And I drove off that day in a brand new Nissan 4x4 truck. Okay. And I bought that truck under my business credit when I had a 460 credit score, guys. And I was able to facilitate that because I had that living number, my EIN number, and I had my business and I was using my business credit to buy that truck. And at the time, that truck, that business line of credit didn't have any credit. It didn't have good credit, bad credit, any credit. It was a brand new business that I had facilitated, got an EIN number, and I went and facilitated doing business with it, and I drove away with a truck that day. And what I tell you guys is once you do it, make sure you pay on it. Don't ruin your business line of credit because it jacks you up. Okay. Now, there's more steps to this, guys. Now, when we go in and we go to the bank, okay, did you have to do proof of income? Yes. So let me talk about that real quick. Now, for your business, guys, if you're a brand new business, your business doesn't have any income. So use your personal income. Now, if they say, what is the annual revenue for T Brown Enterprises? I'd imagine that whoever gave me that, his name's probably T Brown or something close to that, right? And so Mr. T Brown is going to go in and put his personal revenue, guys. You're going to go in and put your personal annualized revenue. So if, let's say you're working a 9 to 5 job right now, you create a new entity, there's a bandwidth that the IRS gives you to establish your corporation. And in the beginning, guys, you don't have a bench to sit on. So what you do is you utilize your personal income as the revenue for that business because you're the one backing that company. And there's about a 2-year threshold of reasonability that you can do that for, but only do it right off the bat. So let's say you have a 9 to 5 job and you're making, let's say, $85,000 a year. Pencil in the application, $85,000 a year. So when you go in, and because you're truly responsible for it, so when you go in, put your revenue in there for the business revenue because your revenue is going to support the business initially. So put your personal revenue as the business revenue initially because there's that threshold of reasonability, and it's within that threshold within arm's length. It's an arm's length transaction. Okay, very income. I missed that. Let me see here. Let me go into the chat right here. They don't verify income for the EIN. No, no one's going to verify your income, guys. Let me explain to you guys. Now, if you're going in after a big asset, there's no way for them to verify your income unless you're building a big asset. Now, this does take time. So watch. I'm going to take 2 steps back. I'm going to ignore your guys' comments a little bit because some of this is going to get answered here really quick. Okay, so I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to look at your guys' questions right now because I'm going to continue teaching. Okay, now when we do this, guys, now we have a bank account. Okay. When we get this bank account, you're going to go in and you're going to ask them immediately for a credit card. How many of you guys ever went to a bank? At the bank, while you're in line, you're sitting there in line, right? There's a long line at the bank counter. It's the first of the month. There's a long line. There's typically a bank manager that's sitting there with an iPad, and they come up to you and say, "Hi, how can I help you today, sir? How can I help you today, ma'am? What do you got going on today?" And you say, "Oh, deposits. Oh, well, you could do a deposit right here at our ATM machine." And they try to take you in to do a deposit on their ATM machine. You go, "Oh no, but I need cash too." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." You can say, "Hey, do you have a business? Oh, you do have a business. Do you want to apply for a credit card for your business today? Oh, no, thank you." How many of you guys have ever been to the bank line and they do that to you guys and they're soliciting you credit cards for your business? How many of you guys have ever been in the bank and they've done that to you before? Anybody? And so the banks in the business of soliciting credit. That's how they make money. They want to solicit credit. They want to sell you credit, guys. So the second that you get your bank account, you tell them, "I'm going to need a credit card for this account." And then they're going to say, "Okay, well, how much revenue is this business doing?" That's where you put in your personal revenue in there. You take $1,000 out of your personal account, you put it into your business account, you start your business account, and you tell them, "I'm doing 85,000, 100,000, 60,000, whatever you're doing in revenue, you put that on your application." And then you might get a $5,000 business line of credit on a credit card. Okay, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it's a line of credit. Okay. Now, remember, we're doing it right here, guys, right here for a reason. You're not going to get a ton of credit right off the bat, but you have a year to month 13 to get this dialed in. So now what you do is you have this $5,000 line of credit and you're going to use it. When you go in and you're building a house, when you go pay for your plumbing fixtures, you're going to use your credit card. Then you're going to take your bank loan from your construction loan and you're going to pay that credit card off. Then you're going to go in that next week because you're going to buy plumbing fixtures and then you're going to pay it off. Then you're going to go buy electrical fixtures and that same week you're going to pay it off. And then you're going to go in and you're going to buy flooring and you're going to pay it off. And then what you're going to do 30 days later is say, "Hey, this $5,000 is great, but we're using it really quick. Can I increase this to a $10,000 line of credit?" And they're either going to tell you yes or no. And so if they tell you yes, great, you increase it. If they tell you no, you just go for another month. Now, you already have a business line of credit. So what I would do is I would start applying for multiple lines of credit. So if you have one that you're utilizing from, like, let's say Bank of America, go in and create a Chase account and apply for a Chase credit card, maybe a Southwest airline credit card, business credit card, so you can get free plane tickets. You use that same EIN number. You can back it with your own personal credit, and then so you can get more on your business line of credit. And here's what's cool, guys, is that you might back it, like you personally might back it. For those of you guys that have good credit to get larger lines quicker, you back it. But when you go pull your personal credit, you won't see any of your business lines of credit on your personal credit report because you're a guarantor, but it's not on your personal report unless you default. Now, if you default on it, then it goes to your personal credit. But if you don't default on it, you're building business lines of credit. For those of you guys that have good credit, you can go in and you can get larger lines of credit quicker using your own personal credit as a guarantor. Like all of our commercial loans, guys, like this one here, when I go build construction projects like this is a $50 million loan, guys. When I pull my credit on this $50 million loan right here on this bad boy, when I pull my credit on this, you won't see this on my credit report. You won't see this $50 million on my personal credit report. But in the loan documents, you will see my name all over it as a personal guarantor of that loan until I get it built. Once I get it built, you won't see my name anywhere. Because once I get it built, now this asset pays for itself, and I'll do what's called a full non-recourse loan on that. But when I'm building it, there's no revenue. It's all recourse. Everything's recourse because that holds a lot of risk. And so But if you pull my personal credit, you won't see it on there. Now, I'll personally guarantor it, but when I finish building it, I don't even want it on my credit at all. I want it to stand on its own 2 feet. And that's exactly what you're doing here. So you're going in, you're establishing business lines of credit. Now, when you, at first, you might personally guarantor some of that. And then once it establishes its own credit, you have zero guarantors on it. So like when we go in and we buy automobiles, guys, you can use your personal line of credit to buy automobiles. And you guys know how like people will go buy like a Humvee, or they'll go buy a big ass truck, or they'll go buy these big industrial vehicles. It's because they're crazy. They don't know this shit. So listen, guys, you can go in. That's an agricultural law where you can go in and write off your vehicle when you go in and buy a massive vehicle. But why would you do that? You could just go buy any vehicle you want and write it off doing this. Like, think about like Molly maids, the maid service. You guys ever seen like Molly maids, the little cars out there that you'll see like 5 maids get out of a car, go clean a house, and they drive these little tiny cars? Those little tiny cars, ladies and gentlemen, do not weigh 10,000 pounds and do not fall within the compliance of the agricultural law, but there's still a 100% tax write-off. When they buy those cars under Molly Maids, under company corporate credit, which is the exact same thing you're doing, those cars become 100% tax write-off. So if you don't want to drive a big ass Humvee or a big ass truck, you can go and buy a normal vehicle and you can go and write 100% of it off, because now that you have established business credit, you can go in and utilize that for your business vehicle. And that vehicle, if utilized for your business, is a 100% tax deduction, and it's owned by your business, no matter what the size of the vehicle is. Does that make sense? Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, when we do this, now let's talk about this again. Okay, let's talk about this again, because I want to share with you guys how this implements with this. We go in, you have to use your credit to build credit, guys. Okay, say that. You have to use your credit to build your credit. You have to use your credit to build your credit. Okay. Now, there's good debt and bad debt, guys. This is very good debt. This is the type of debt you want to have. Okay. So when you go out and you start using your credit, you want to use that thing every friggin' day and you want to pay it off. So, like what we do with our online brand, when I started this brand, I said, okay, guys, I got to get $100,000 credit card. And I remember Mo would come to me and Mo would be like, damn, Jerome, the credit card gets maxed out too fast. We only had a $30,000 line of credit on our credit card. And I built it up to 30 grand. Then we couldn't get over this $30,000 cost with Chase. And I was like, screw Chase. I gave him the middle finger. I went to Capital One and we started building business credit through Capital One. And so Chase finally gave me like a $10,000 increase. I'm like, thank you, Chase. And then I said, let me go Capital One. And so Capital One, what we would do, here's what Chase would do to me. And this is why I tell you guys, utilize multiple banks, guys, and start getting different business lines of credit through multiple banks, but always pay all of them off. So like Chase, for example, and I just use this, it's a real life example. So sorry, Chase, if this is what you did to me, I'm giving you guys the middle finger because this is what you really did to me, is that I went out with Chase, I built my credit. We would go out and I would use that thing and I'd run ads and I'd run ads and then it would get maxed out. I would pay it off. And I remember I was at Disneyland with my family and I was frustrated. I was on the phone with Chase because I paid it off before I went. I said, we're going on vacation. I don't want to have bullshit problems. I'm going to pay it off. So I paid off the whole line of credit so that Mo and my team and everybody would be able to go out there and continue running ads and facilitating business. And then my credit got halted. And they said, well, we need to wait for it to clear. And I was like, I've been paying you guys for 3 years. We put over $100,000+ a month on this thing, on this one card alone. And I pay you guys off. We've never bounced a payment on you guys. You guys are holding my friggin' credit. And I was like, screw you guys. That's when I went to Capital One. And Capital One immediately gave me a $50,000 card. So now I was using Chase for $30,000, Capital One for $50,000. And then 2 weeks into the month, I pay off all of Capital One. Every week I was paying off Chase, because we were spending 30 grand every week on the Chase card, every week, every week, every week. And so on Friday, we'd come around, boom, we'd pay off Chase. And then we max out that card again. And then we'd pay off Chase and we max out that card again. We'd max out Capital One and boom, 2 weeks later, we pay them off and we max it out again. So in a month's revolution, we are paying off that card 2 times with Capital One. We were paying it off 4 times with Chase, and still until they throttled me. And now they opened it back up. But we'll pay those cards off multiple times a month. So when you have a small line of credit that's not enough to facilitate your business, it's okay, guys. Just utilize it, max it out, pay it off, and then ask for more. Now we have over $100,000 line of credit with Capital One on that one business, and now we have like 50 or 60,000 with Chase, and then we have multiple credit cards now with that company, because now we do about $250,000 a month in ads and everything else. So now we're able to facilitate and utilize those lines of credit so that we don't have to use our own personal lines of credit to run that business. You're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to start off with $5,000. You're going to max it out every week. You're going to pay it off. You're going to max it out, pay it off. You're going to max it out, pay it off. So in the beginning, when you first do this first home on a construction loan, by the time you get to month number 6 right here, and you start actually building the home, you might only have about $5,000 to $10,000 worth of credit right here. You might only have $5,000 to $10,000 worth of credit, and that's all right. But you're going to use that. You're going to have a construction loan as well. So you're going to be utilizing the tools of your construction loan to help you build business credit, okay? Because you're going to use your construction loan to help pay off your lines of credit, and you're going to max this thing out every week, $5,000, $5,000. A few weeks later, you go back and say, hey, I need $10,000. And if they don't give it to you, you're going to call Capital One, you're going to call Chase, you're going to call Merrill Lynch, you're going to call somebody else, and you're going to get another credit card, so that way you can have multiple credit cards. And if you already have one with $5,000, you've made payments on it, you're going to be able to get another one. Okay. And now you function and call both of them. You call American Express and you call them every month and you say, hey, I need to increase my limit. It ain't enough to facilitate business. As you can see, I'm paying it off. I'm maxing it out. I'm paying it off. I'm maxing it out. I'm paying it off. I'm maxing it out. Some are going to say yes. Some are going to say no, guys. It's going to be up to you guys to continue trying to increase it. By the time you get through the 12 months of this build, you should have about a $20,000 to $40,000 line of credit just from here alone. Okay. Now, if you have multiple lines like that, you might have $100,000 of lines of credit just on your credit cards alone. Okay. Now, once you do this and you finish your first build in month 13, you're going to go back to the bank. Okay. And this would be a qualifier for me for the bank. On which bank that I use, this would be a qualifier for me, guys. I would go back in and I want to know how business friendly that bank is. You will know how business friendly it is. And my advice to you guys is to have 2 bank accounts. One with a big bank like Chase. I do like Chase, guys. In spite of them, in spite of my dealings with them for their credit cards, they're a great business bank. Okay, so I like Capital One better because I've gotten better bandwidth for credit cards themselves. But Capital One for business has been great because they're nationwide. I can facilitate business in any country across the United States. Bank of America, so, but still good. So I would set up 2 bank accounts, one for a credit card, and then I go to a local bank, guys, that's business friendly, but a local bank that's regional, a regional bank, because a small bank doesn't have the bandwidth for lines of credit as big as a regional bank. So I would go to a regional bank and I would open up a bank account with a regional bank and one with a national bank. Okay, write that down. Open up 2 bank accounts, one with a regional bank and one with a national bank. Okay, you have 2 bank accounts for that entity. Now, I would use one bank account to facilitate business because that's going to make it a lot easier. But when you go in, guys, and you facilitate business, when you do and deal with a national bank, you can get credit cards. Okay. Now, if you're getting credit cards, you're getting bandwidth through credit cards. Now, some people are going, well, what if the interest rates are expensive? Who cares? You're paying them off every month anyways. I don't pay interest on my credit cards. I leverage this to be able to pay this off, and I get free plane flights everywhere I go, free hotels, free everything, guys, because I build my houses through it. Like, how cool would it be to have 2 houses going and have $1 million a year in that you're putting on that credit card? You'll always sit first class, and you'll always sit on Southwest. You'll always be B16. I mean A16. You'll always be in the front because you're using so much of your your bandwidth of credit cards to be able to facilitate this. Okay, so what I'm telling you guys is national bank credit cards, regional bank. When you're done with your first build, guys, you're going to go back to your regional bank and say, regional banker, regional banker, I just finished my first year, my first build. You're in month number 13. Okay. Now, when you do that, you're going to go back and say, I want a business line of credit of $100,000 to start today. Okay. And when you go in, you get a business line of credit, they're going to say, how much did you do in revenue last year? You're going to tell them $750,000, $800,000, $850,000. Whatever you sold that house for is your gross annual revenue, even if it's just one home, guys. Now, you take that annualized revenue and they say, what is your net taxable income? Boom, $150,000 net taxable income. They're going to sit back and say, you qualify for up to a $150,000 business line of credit right now. And now they're happy because the person's making a commission. They're on cloud nine. You got your salesperson making a commission on that account they just sold you for $150,000. Now you have another $100,000 up here. Let's go after two builds at the exact same time. Now we can go in, we can go get one lot through owner financing. Okay. So we can get one house. So we're doing two houses now. Year number 2, we're doing two houses. This one, we're getting a construction loan on. We're going to get our construction loan. We're going to buy our land and we're going to build the house under the construction loan. This one, we're going to go get another lot, but we're going to buy this lot through owner financing. So we're going to have almost no money out of pocket on this lot. And then we're going to use our business line of credit to facilitate this build right here. Okay, now we're going to go in and we're going to still use credit for this because we're still building credit, paying it off, and then we're going to pay it off, build this house, pay it off, build this house. And we're going to build two houses. Now at the end of the year, we're going to have $1.5 million in year 2 in gross revenue, provided each house is $750,000. We're going to have a net revenue of $300,000. Net $300K. Halfway through the year, as we're building these houses, we're going to go back in, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be going, Mr. Banker, I need to increase my credit limit. And you're going to go back to your regional bank and say, look, we're scaling, we're growing. I don't want to just be coming in here getting construction loans all the time. Construction loans are a pain in the ass. I have to come in, you have to underwrite my prints, you got to take appraisals. It sucks. I don't want to have to do this forever. I need business lines of credit. I need my business lines of credit. This is what I want to do. And so you could do this. This is a great place to start, but it's not a great place to finish. So now you go in, you're doing your construction loans while you have to, but you're building your business lines of credit. Here's why, guys. Because when you do a construction loan, you got to wait for the bank to be okay with you starting construction. You got to wait for the bank to fund your loan. You got to wait for the bank every phase of the loan to get a draw. You got to wait for the bank for their approval to write you a check and get your distributions, and all your subcontractors during that time, they're all waiting, guys. They're all waiting. So it works. It's a great place to start, but a business line of credit's better. Here's why. Now I'll always leverage owner financing on my lots from here to the end of the earth, because if I can get free land to build on, it's great because I'll use their land, I'll use their land as them being the bank to buy the land. Then I'll go and use my business line of credit to build the house. I'll pay them back on the land when I close on the house, when I have a buyer for that house. So I limit the amount of money I have out of pocket on that house. Does that make sense? And so then I'll go back in, use my business lines of credit. And when I want to go turn dirt, I turn dirt. Because now I'm not waiting for a damn bank. I have the lines of credit right here. So if I get a set of prints, the permits are ready, boom, I turn dirt that day. And I start turning dirt immediately, guys, while I'm waiting for my permits. In fact, I'll even turn dirt before I actually get my permits. And the reason why I'll turn dirt before I get my permits is because I can get all the way to my first inspection, and then I have to halt. And typically my first inspection is my pre-slab inspection. So I can go in, I can pull a rough-in inspection for my plumbing. I can go in and start the dirt work. I can start digging my footings. I can even start setting my rebar on my footings. And before I even get that far, guys, I've already saved 2-3 weeks worth of construction time, and I haven't even got my permits yet. The day I get my permits, I'm ready for an inspection that day. So now because I have a business line of credit instead of a construction loan, I can call in and say, "Hey, Mr. Inspector, I know I just got my permits today, but I'm ready for inspection today." And then the inspector goes down, they inspect your slab, and you get signed off. Boom, you just saved yourself 2 to 3 weeks worth of construction time. And in business, time is money. And so the faster you can facilitate business, the more money you're going to make. You start shaving weeks off of your builds, that's going to increase your bandwidth for more volume. You have more volume, that means you have more revenue. The more volume you do, the more revenue you have. The more revenue you have, the quicker you make money. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen,